I'm on my way to the Herald Cays, to two tiny little islands out in the Coral Sea, about 3-4 days from here, with fish and birds. But Riker is a broken vessel at the moment. The anchor winch is broken, and a couple of hours later the driving belt for the steering ripped off, and 2 days before that the battery controller went out of control. And spare parts are very difficult to get. The fastest will be the motor for the anchor winch in 2 weeks. And I can't stay at anchor for 2 weeks. It would drive me mad. So I started this expedition, and I will need a lot of improvisation, but I think it should be possible to make this journey. Beach, I built a construction to replace the anchor windlass. I split the drinking water hose to protect the shrouds. Set a block on the bulwark to keep the chain away from our windows. With a long line, I pull the chain up to the sheet winch. This lifts the anchor about 8 meters. If 30 meters of anchor chain are out, I need to repeat this procedure 4 times. A short line prevents it from slipping back. I pull the chain into the anchor locker by hand. The steering wheel and the hydraulic controls are connected by a V-belt. It's as old as Riker, 37 years. Replacements are only available in Denmark. I have a second steering wheel inside. It works independently. Its disadvantage: I stand a meter lower, have a limited view through the windows, and a long way forward to the anchor. The failure of the battery controller for wind and solar means it gets loud. The only way to recharge power is with a petrol generator or the ship's engine. The Coral Sea is between Australia, New Guinea and New Caledonia. Sailing out there, you first have to master the reef and currents of the Great Barrier Reef. It's tricky, because not all the reefs are correctly marked and the current changes direction with the tide. Once outside, I find it calm. No sailing here, just motoring. My destination, the Herald Cays, is 2 days away from here. Rarely visited, they rise from a depth of 700 meters. Green is reef, yellow is island. The trick is to sail Riker as close to the shore as possible so that she rocks less. But there are coral reefs on the shore, so I'm on the jump, keeping an eye out for reefs and then steering from inside. In the end, I land far away from the shore. Riker rocks quite a bit. That's the price I pay for stubbornly sailing a broken boat. Here I am on one of these islands of my dream. I have a couple of objectives. One is, I've seen pictures of grey moray eels. They hunt crabs and they live in potholes in the sedimentary rock. I'd love to see one. The second objective, to understand the underwater world and to find out how safe I can go snorkel and dive. What about currents? What about waves? So I want to get nearer to this and see in what state the reef is. And last objective, starting, that is not so much a problem, but landing the drone on my boat. It's easy to exercise at anchor, or easier. It might become very difficult at high sea. I don't know if I will lose the drone there. It looks quite difficult. So let's try. The topic of the moray eels is quickly ticked off. I find their food, hermit crabs that camouflage themselves with foreign shells and snail shells, and pale line tropical rock crabs, but no moral eels. Number 2 diving, alone, in the middle of the ocean. Sounds a bit borderline. I have to get over myself. So, snorkeling is less ambitious. I look for spots on the nautical chart as far out in the sea as possible, though that there is visibility, but not deep. I set off at low tide, look at the anchor and the line with a queasy feeling, hope they both hold, and jump into the water. My first impression is disastrous, dead reef wherever you look. I dive down and wait. My experience? I'm not looking for fish, fish are looking for me. I just have to float, not wriggle. And suddenly they're there, watching me as if I'm their TV program. I have no idea what they do for a living. Only occasionally I come across healthy corals. The longer I wait, the more colorful life becomes. Then I wriggle with my fins and the reef is empty again. Except for this group of rays. They've buried themselves in the sand, but their eyes are looking at me intently. I don't see a sting, but prefer to keep my distance. Enough snorkeling, now let's get serious. The dive spot lies unprotected in the ocean. Seas go high. I think going there with a dinghy is risky. So I launch right here and try to drop the anchor right on the coral head. It's easier said than done. Rakia drifts off again and again. That should have been a warning, but I don't get it. The anchor sets, but the seas over the reef throw Rakia's bow upwards, the hook bends, and 70 meters of anchor chain come out uncontrolled. At least Rakia's moored now. I lower a fender with a line into the water as a safety device in case I drift off. I mount my equipment. I have hired 3 scuba tanks in Early Beach. But I can't dive down. The rental tanks are aluminium. My own tank is steel, so much heavier. I lack weight. There is also a very strong current. A complete failure. I sail to the neighboring island and look for an anchorage. My first night at anchor, and I wondered yesterday whether I shall set the anchor alarm or not. It consumes energy, but I set it just to be on the safe side. And it turned out to be a wise decision, because at 1 o'clock in the night the anchor alarm went off and I really slipped, or the boat slipped towards a reef. So it meant to set up all this improvisation stuff with getting the anchor up, navigating in the dark through bommies to a place that might be more secure. So I tried this after the map, and in the morning when I woke up, I found I'm very near to the reef, but just on the safe side. So this is where I will stand now. If I'm forced to anchor next to a reef, I might as well dive here. I cut anchor chain into 2-kilo pieces as extra weight for diving. My reef is disappointing, a bleached stone desert. And I get an unwanted visitor. A tuna starts to circle me. I've only ever seen tunas in tins, but this creature is big, and those teeth. He's fetching a buddy. And finally, a shark and I scare each other. Experienced divers will smile, but this is the moment when I feel very alone. I've had enough for the moment. So I arm myself. I have no idea how to use a knife in an emergency, but I hope fish will be shocked. Then I look for diving spots with the dinghy. The diving equipment is so heavy that I can only put it on in the water. I use the same technique as for snorkeling. I settle down in a nice spot and wait for the fish. I lie around for up to a quarter of an hour. That's unthinkable on commercial diving tours, where you are always on the move. I start to love being on my own. I myself find me the most disturbing thing, the air bubbles. The fish's ears must be ringing from the noise. But they come anyway. Final goal, take off and land the drone from the ship. As expected, takeoff goes well. I have to land manually. Find out that it's easier to land the drone with the tail towards me. Pushing the stick of the remote control left also moves the drone to the left. The perspective from the air shows the island in a new light. For example, these moon craters in the sand, each hole is the nest of a turtle. Or the incredible turquoise color of the sand between the reefs. Or the forest of Northeast Cay. You're not allowed to enter the interior of any of these islands. There are too many birds nesting on the ground. But the drone shows how mighty the forest is. Frigate birds and boobies sometimes nest in the same tree. But as soon as they leave the tree, they're enemies. Frigate birds are master at flying, but they can't dive because they soak up water. The boobies are master at diving. When they fly home with a full stomach to feed their young, they are attacked. A black wall of screaming frigate birds awaits them. Whoever gets through here is clever. Some make an emergency landing in the water to shake off the water-shy frigate birds. Others give up and throw off their prey. This booby stomach contained 5 different animals: 2 fish, 3 squid. I visit the birds every day, observe what changes from day to day. Some become trusting. I see rare tropic birds. They have 2 distinctive red tail feathers. They fly shyly around me in lark arcs. These masked boobies I visit every day. I marvel at their patience. Parents sit for hours in the hot sun and protect their child. Their world is so different from my life. They have time, an unimaginable amount of time. Herald Cays also turned into an island of birds. Then I returned to civilization. It would be a lie to say I have missed it.